Welcome back. Controversy surrounds the death of Renee Good, who was shot to death by an immigration and customs enforcement agent a week and a half ago. Many questions are being asked about the actions of that ICE agent and his use of deadly force. Joining me to shed some light on it is Connecticut Inspector General Elliot Prescott. Welcome.
Nice to be with you.
Thank you for coming in. Your job is to investigate police use of force here in Connecticut, and I think it's so interesting to have someone in that role look at what we've all been seeing in the headlines. So we saw the initial view from behind the SUV. We've since seen the police, the ICE agents video. We've seen bystander video. If this were hypothetically in Connecticut and this investigation landed on your desk, we've all been looking at it, but I'm sure you look at it differently. Take us through what you'd be looking at in that video and what you'd be doing.
Yeah, in terms of the video, we want to see all of the video that's available. Each angle, each source of video tells us something different. We spend a lot of time in the cases that I do slowing down the videos, speeding them up, trying to enhance the sound, figuring out what's being said. So lots of different things go into an analysis of the video, but we're also looking at the video in light of what other physical evidence is at the scene.
Now, we know that 1 week after the shooting occurred, the Department of Justice came out and said there is no need for a criminal investigation into this matter. What did you make of that statement?
That's deeply concerning to me. And you can't reach a conclusion about the justifiability of the police's actions without a lengthy criminal investigation that can take months and months to unfold and to be done properly. So to reach a conclusion within days, if not hours, of an event is simply wrong, and it's not what our justice system needs.
Had that incident happened in Connecticut, and the Fed said, we'll handle it, General Inspector Prescott, we'll handle it. You don't have to come out here. Would that be something that would be concerning to you? That
would be very concerning to me. And frankly, I don't think I'd let that happen, or I certainly would do my level best not to let that happen. In a perfect world, the state and federal law enforcement authorities would work cooperatively. They would share evidence and make sure that witnesses are available to everybody, each make their own independent determinations. But we have jurisdiction to investigate whenever a federal law enforcement officer uses force in our state.
I don't obviously want you to opine on the guilt or innocence or criminality, but I just want to talk about some of the factors that have been so much in the headlines. And the first one is the ICE agent standing to the front of the vehicle. As you're doing an investigation, is that notable, and what do you look for in that analysis?
That is a critical fact in my mind in terms of the legality of some of these uses of force. There's something called officer-created jeopardy, and one of the factors that we look at in deciding whether or not the use of force was justified was, did the officer in fact create the need to use deadly physical force in the first place? Officers in Connecticut are well trained in de-escalation measures, ways to avoid the need to use deadly physical force. And so we say, no, you can't step in front of a vehicle like that and create the need. There's prohibitions, general prohibitions against shooting into a moving vehicle. So those are critical facts that we look at in assessing these cases.
We've also seen photographic evidence that appears to confirm that 1 shot went into the windshield and 2 shots went into the side driver's window. Is that something that would be important in your analysis?
That would be very important as well. You could have a situation where perhaps 1 shot is justified, but once that officer is not threatened by the vehicle at that point, because the vehicle's moving away and they're no longer in front of it, they might have an obligation to stop shooting. Every case is different.
There's also been a lot of talk about the background of Miss Good and whether she was an agitator, whether she was a protester. Is that something that would be relevant to an investigation?
Generally, no. And what I mean by that is what really is the focus of these investigations is what was in the officer's mind and what were the circumstances presented to the officer and what did the officer know. So the fact that she may have been associated with anti-ICE protests in the bigger terms, it's really not that important. And so for federal officials to say, we're going to be investigating her, that doesn't answer the question.
You mentioned shooting into a moving vehicle, and I think our viewers who aren't as following this as closely as you or don't have a law enforcement background might assume that police can do things like shoot out a tire or do something else with their firearm to stop a fleeing vehicle, something they might see in a primetime show. But in reality, that is not something that's even considered.
No, that would be
antithetical.
Antithetical, thank you, to their training. And they certainly would be trained to do that, and they risk injuring people doing it. So no, they should not be doing that.
I just want to ask you about this. The governor was in our last segment, and as he was getting up to leave, as I teased ahead to your segment, he expressed some concern that interactions in Connecticut between state troopers and local police and citizens could be more tense, more on edge because of videos like this video from Minnesota. Is there anything people in Connecticut that you can tell them about their interactions with police officers and how those should go, looking at them as somebody who investigates the police side when something goes wrong?
Sure. I have a couple concerns here. First of all, the citizenry should not confuse ICE agents with law enforcement officers generally. And I think the Minnesota police chief has talked about that a little bit, trying to remind the people of Minneapolis that not everyone out on the street is an ICE agent. There's a lot of hardworking law enforcement officers, good people who are trying to do the normal job of keeping the city safe. So I'd ask people not to confuse ICE agents with other police officers. They should also know that these officers may not be as well trained as most police officers that they're dealing with. So they need to be extra cautious in dealing with them.
We're just about out of time, but we appreciate you coming in here. This has been such a big topic, and I know your investigations stretch on for months, sometimes years. So interesting to look at this 2 weeks later with you, and we hope to have you back maybe as we learn more about this to talk about it further. Elliot Prescott, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, sir.